Hello, my beautiful friends. It is an amazing day. Let's wait for those tubes to fire up all across the fruited plain of the interwebs before we jump into business on the day. Are we alive and well over on the locals tubes? Looks like we are. What's going on, Rumble? And hello, YouTube. It's a beautiful day, my friends, and happy Thanksgiving to you. I hope you're enjoying the day, spending time with friends, family, or just hanging with us here. We're very grateful and thankful for you for some time together on this lovely holiday. So much to be thankful for. We'll talk about that today. We've got a bunch of news, though, for us to feast upon as we celebrate. Let's start with some Thanksgiving updates, shall we? Now that we can confirm we are alive and well all across the fruited plain of the internet, the president wishing us all a very happy Thanksgiving, including the radical left lunatics. Also, get a warm welcome from the president today. You can see he published this saying, "Happy Thanksgiving to all, including to the radical left lunatics who have worked so hard to destroy our country, but who have miserably failed and will always fail because their ideas and policies are so hopelessly bad that the great people of our nation just gave a landslide victory to those who want to make America great again." That's us. Don't worry, our country will soon be respected, productive, fair, and strong, and you will be, more than ever before, proud to be an American. Amazing message from the one and only President Trump. We're very thankful for his victory. We're very thankful to everybody who worked so hard to make it happen. And we're even thankful for the radical left lunatics because they failed so badly. And we're thankful for that. Thanks for being incompetent. You've done well. But happy Thanksgiving to everybody. A nice message from the president. You can see Melania is going to be handling the kids' table this season. So they're getting ready for the Thanksgiving holiday in Trump land. And Melania, you know, there's the adult table and there's the kids' table. Melania is going to be serving the kids' table. And let me show you what she's going to be delivering to them for supper. Here it is. Yeah. They're not really happy about what's being served, but they have to eat it. Eat it. 312 electoral votes. Eat it all. All right. So you can see Melania. It's delicious. I can see what she cooked up. It's going to be delicious. I'll have seconds, please. So Trump enjoying it and the kids' table not really happy about it, but that's a lot of fun. Then we also want to wish our federal agents a happy Thanksgiving. So to all the FBI, federal agents, Homeland Security agents out there, Secret Service, you know, the rest of you guys out there, we also want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving. And if you renounce your ways, you can come and join us at the table, okay? This does not have to be you, all right? Come on in, renounce your ways, join the resurrection of America. Relinquish your corruption. Put down your FISA warrants and come and join us as we make America great again. We'll see if the feds take us up on that, but we're serious. It's time for unity. Now, elsewhere, we have some protests taking place. This is happening this morning, 8:46, fresh out of the oven on Thanksgiving Day, nonetheless. Saying here, the Post-Millennial posted this one, saying pro-Palestinian protesters disrupted the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade by obstructing the route, resulting in multiple arrests. Ah, golly. All right, so here's what it looks like. Don't celebrate genocide, land back. I mean, there's Ronald McDonald. right in front of Ronald McDonald. Is that because Trump worked there for a day? Longer than Kamala did? Free Palestine. Oh, goodness, sorry about that. Didn't realize it was going to be exploding our eardrums. So this is what it sounds like. All right, so they're protesting, and apparently there was some arrests taking place, so they're getting hauled off. All right, get out of the way. Get out of the road. Get out of the road, okay? It's Thanksgiving. It's not your protest insurrectionville. All right, so they're protesting, and that's happening in New York. So we'll keep our eye on it. Hopefully, my friends, wherever it is you're celebrating, you're getting there nice and easily. We also have some other business to attend to that is not particularly Thanksgiving related, but is interesting, having to do with the Trump transition. And let's get this queued up here for ourselves. I just pulled a tab out where I didn't want it to be. So now I'm fixing that, which is what is happening now. But we've got some updates on this lovely Thanksgiving. President Trump declaring victory after having a phone call with the president of Mexico. Claudia Sheinbaum Pardo is her full name, according to the president, says, just had a wonderful conversation with the new president of Mexico. She has agreed to stop migration through Mexico and into the United States, effectively closing our southern border. Now, we talked about what can be done to stop the massive drug inflow into the United States and also U.S. consumption of these drugs. It was a very productive conversation. That's interesting because she was a little bit unhappy with his statement that they were going to be dropping a 25% tax on them, baby, tariffs at the border. And she said, well, how about we just hit you with tariffs back? And by the way, all of your citizens are drug addicts. Why are they on crack all the time? Why are they buying our drugs? Maybe you should deal with your own drug problem, which is true. We do have a drug problem in this country. Probably because the people feel like they have no meaning or purpose or reason for living because the government has sapped that out of their existence and wrecked our culture. But that's a separate topic. But in addition to that, she said, we're getting all your drugs in our country and your guns, rather, in our country. And so there's a back and forth hemming and hawing about that. So Trump says, a little bit of a change of opinion here, says Mexico will stop people from going to our southern border effective immediately. Wow, that was fast. Trump's not even the president. This will go a long way towards stopping the illegal invasion of the USA. Thank you. 3 exclamation points, which is pretty nice. So that was fast. Not even in the White House. He's already solving the border problem. Thank you, Mr. President. Now, other people were there in Florida trying to mend the fence, so to speak. Mark Zuckerberg, responsible for dropping hundreds of millions in Zuckerbucks in 2020, and was colluding with the FBI to censor the president, suddenly is a newfound Republican or wants to support the national renewal, which I'm in favor of, right? Come on board, let's go. But I have some distrust with Zuck because he visited on Wednesday down in Mar-a-Lago just months after he publicly praised Trump after the assassination attempt. Zuckerberg and his visit to Palm Beach was confirmed by Trump advisor Stephen Miller. We'll listen to the clip in a second. He was down there, and in July, Zuckerberg lauded Trump for his fist-pumping reaction to the assassination attempt. He said, seeing Trump get up after being shot in the face and pump his fist in the air with the American flag is one of the most bad A things I've ever seen in my life, said Zuckerberg. Yeah, it's true. When you're right, you're right. You can't argue with it. On some level, as an American, it's like hard not to kind of get emotional about that spirit and that fight. I think that's why a lot of people like the guy. Yeah, that's what we've noticed. Okay, we noticed that a long time ago. We didn't, him getting shot in the head was like, yeah, that's what we've seen for the last several years. Okay, we were all early to that. But for others, it's like, wow, it took him getting shot in the head for him to recognize it. But I'm glad they did. Welcome. So Zuckerberg's visit to Mar-a-Lago is not the Facebook founder's first interaction down there. In August, Trump told Fox Business host Maria Bartiromo that Zuckerberg called him to apologize. He says, well, Mark Zuckerberg called me. First of all, he called me 2 times. He called me after the event, and he said it was really amazing. And then he said it was really brave. And he actually announced that he's not going to support a Democrat because he respected me for what I did that day. And I think that what he did to me, what I did was a normal response, he thought, says Trump, because that's just who Trump is. But Zuckerberg also went down there. Some people saying he's kissing the ring at this point, bending the knee, finally getting on board. Welcome, Mark. And thank you to Elon for causing this domino effect to happen. And if you didn't listen to the Mark Andreessen interview with Joe Rogan, that was really good. And Andreessen did a great job, I think, articulating a lot of the same concerns that we've addressed here, but from a different angle, as somebody who's a billionaire and has been on the receiving end of a lot of the tech censorship as the founder of many other companies. So it's very, very interesting to see it from the other end. Okay, we've been here as creators getting censored, demonetized, strikes on YouTube and the things. And he's representing founders who are being debanked, entire companies, crypto-related, being debanked. And they were talking about AI. It's just insane. We avoided such a potential catastrophe, my friends. If you're thankful for anything, man, be thankful for that, because we were on a precipice in this country and we just narrowly avoided that many times. Here's Stephen Miller.
Stephen, real quick, Politico is reporting that Mark Zuckerberg was at Mar-a-Lago today meeting with President Trump. Can you confirm that?
Yes, that's correct. And Mark Zuckerberg has been very clear about his desire to be a supporter of and a participant in this change that we're seeing all around America, all around the world with this reform movement that Donald Trump is leading. Mark Zuckerberg, like so many business leaders, understand that President Trump is an agent of change, an agent of prosperity.
Right.
And so business leaders, CEOs everywhere, they want to be an element, a supporter, a booster of making our economy prosperous, delivering for American workers, and making sure that America is the most powerful, wealthiest, freest nation on the face of the earth. So we'll see what comes of that. Yeah. And Mark, obviously, he has his own interests, and he has his own company, and he has his own agenda, but he's made clear that he wants to support the national renewal of America under President Trump's leadership.
All right, so I'm always skeptical about these things, right? We'll see what, maybe Bill Gates is going to come back out, maybe Reid Hoffman. I think these guys are very focused on power and regulatory control. They want to get in Trump's good graces. They know that Trump will be accepting of them bending the knee, and so they're exploiting it. They are about money and power, and they don't want the new government to come in and backhand him for what they did in 2020 when they censored Trump and other Americans. Facebook and others threw the sitting president off their social media platforms. Banned him, which means they banned us from hearing from him in one of the most insane eras of America, in American history, regarding free speech and free communication and free association. Banned a sitting president from the internet. Lunacy. All right, lunacy. The Democrats and everybody in charge of that there should be real repercussions for that, and hopefully there are coming. So that is Stephen Miller. We also have Vivek, who's going to be on Team DOGE, was having a conversation with Marsha Blackburn, who's a senator, and Marsha has a podcast too. Probably got some advice from Ted Cruz. But here she had Vivek on her podcast, and here's what they talked about.
I've had legislation to do across-the-board spending cuts, and it's hard to get that passed and get that agreement. I also have legislation that would freeze federal salaries and freeze federal hiring until we can get some of these recommendations from DOGE put into place. I also have a bill that would look at the federal bureaucracy and move from a tenure giving you a promotion to merit giving you a promotion. And those are things that need to be enacted. We are just so pleased that President Trump has said now's the time. We're so pleased that he has said that you and Elon are the people to make this happen, and we are so looking forward to working with you on this and appreciate all those efforts. I've had legislation to do across-the-board spending cuts, and it's hard to get that passed and get that agreed.
All right, so good. We want them to cut, because there is so much bloat in the federal government, it'll make you sick. And Mark Andreessen had a good framing on this with Joe Rogan. That's why these guys are, billionaires. He says, there are more federal agencies than there are years of existence of the United States. 450 federal agencies. So over one agency every year that the U.S. government has been in existence, the United States has been in existence. It's like every year. How are we going to solve this problem? New agency, new agency, new agency, new agency. Time to cut those back down, baby. So here is the media reacting to this. Caroline Leavitt, who is the new press secretary for the president, posted this on X, said, I just received one of the most absurd emails ever from the Washington Post, saying this, quote, reporter is doing gymnastics to try to sow division and blame President Trump for something that he admits in his email has no trace to him whatsoever. This is exactly why nobody trusts the fake news. Now, Jeff Bezos warned his staff before the election, and they're still not listening to him. Says, hi, Caroline. This is, who's writing this? I don't know who's writing it. She didn't give us the name, I guess. Says, oh, here, there it is, right there. My name is Emmanuel Felton, and I'm a reporter with the Washington Post. I'm writing about an incident that happened in Lawnside, New Jersey. 2 days ago, after the election, a local resident discovered that someone had sprayed, I hate bad words. Sorry, not sorry. Okay, I hate the N-word. Wow. Sorry, not sorry. So a local resident, someone sprayed that. Now, here's the bit about Trump that I hoped y'all would respond to, says Felton. What happened in Lawnside was part of a wave of racial incidents that occurred in the days following Trump's reelection. Around that time that Heinz's fence was sprayed, black people across the country were receiving text messages that said that they'd been, quote, selected to pick cotton at the nearest plantation. Oh my gosh! And at the same time that Lawnside residents came together to discuss the graffiti on Heinz's fence, a group of self-identified neo-Nazis marched and shouted the same slur in Columbus, Ohio. While none of these, are you having any flashbacks to the Fine People hoax or any of this? While none of these events can be traced directly back to Trump, experts say that his rhetoric has been tied to an increase in hate crimes across the nation. What experts? Your BFF? Jennifer Rubin? Experts say that his rhetoric has been tied to an increase in hate crimes across the nation. The country experienced its second largest uptick in hate crimes during Trump's first presidency, according to an analysis of FBI data, who are filled with goons and hacks, who fake data, and who tell us crime's going down because they don't include the numbers. Only the months following September 11th led to a larger increase, the researchers found. Okay, this is the Washington Post. Absolute garbage, and has nothing to do with Trump. Their experts are making up some nonsense. Shout out to Caroline for posting this. They should be ashamed of themselves. Emmanuel Felton. Give me a break. All right, so here's his hard truth. The hard truth, Americans don't trust the news media. Here's a note from our owner, from Jeff Bezos. Yeah, remember when he wrote that op-ed? We read it. It was a good op-ed. He's right. Why do we still have people like Emmanuel Felton at the Washington Post? He should have been fired a long time ago, in my opinion, for writing articles trying to smear the president with nothing that he's responsible for at all. Probably still believes the Fine People hoax too. So shout out to Caroline for posting that. Now, speaking of the garbage Washington Post, let's read an article from them, because they're now having to admit that the MSNBC situation is way worse than you may even realize. The network's audience has declined so much. What's going to be happening next? This just dropped this week. Says, strangely enough, MSNBC was one of the winners on election night, but things have gone downhill since. One of the network's most valuable franchises, Morning Joe, faced a backlash. But forget short-term rating drops, okay? Questions about the future picking up considerably when they're being told they're going to spin the network off, and it's going to be called SpinCo in a new entity. Now, given all this, all right, a lot of stuff has happened here. MSNBC employees are losing their minds, trying to wrap their head around what this means. The fear inside the building is about whether the move could portend a less ambitious future for MSNBC and their shows with a smaller, less compensated staff. They said, we're going to become a guest-driven, fully opinion operation that doesn't even have the appearance of being a news operation, said someone. Someone says they're potentially optimistic, but one issue is maybe a name in branding that they might have to change some of this. Some inside say, oh, it's just cyclical. There's decline in ratings. It's not that big of a deal. But the belief inside MSNBC, they say that exhausted and dispirited viewers will come back. But the drop in the viewers that began the week after the election has flattened out, but it's still a decline. The numbers were stark. Morning Joe, compared with an average of 1 million viewers per episode this year, is down to 680 and 647, almost cut in half. In a podcast last week, Brzezinski said, I think we're going to talk again, and I hope that we do. Some people disagree with her talking with Trump, but I don't. I regret talking about people and not to them. So they're going to try to get back in Trump's good graces. Okay, it's pathetic. The media is pathetic. And others are saying that they're not catching their stride. They're not figuring out how to respond to this. We're here for it. So President Trump wishes a happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Things are progressing with Mexico. We know Zuckerberg went down to Mar-a-Lago. He's trying to be involved in the movement now. We'll see what he ultimately brings to the table and how he'll be useful as Trump and Elon and others now jump in to make America great again. All right, so let's jump over to Texas and 10 other states suing Blackrock, Vanguard, and State Street. This is a very big lawsuit and an interesting one to boot. Blackrock, State Street, Vanguard, you've heard these companies. They're now getting hit with a lawsuit courtesy of Texas, and Texas isn't alone. They're joined by 10 other states from across the nation to sue them, saying that these companies that are massive, massive conglomerates that control tons of power across not only America, but the world, saying that they illegally conspired to manipulate the markets to drive up costs for you and me, consumers across the world. Says Texas is not going to tolerate the illegal weaponization of the financial industry for their destructive, politicized environmental agenda. And they're saying their environmental agenda is used as a cudgel, as a way to beat your opposition into regulatory control that you can use to your advantage. They say BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, they formed a cartel to rig the coal market, to artificially reduce the energy supply, right, by attacking the coal producers, to raise the energy prices so they'd make more money. Their conspiracy has harmed American energy, hurt consumers. This is a stunning violation of state and federal law. And Ken Paxton is suing to stop this. Now let's go through. You can see he published a full press statement, but we're going to zoom in on the details and see what the lawsuit itself says. Now this is a 108 pager, so we'll just hit the highlights, but you can see it's a bunch of states who are joining in on this, filed in the Eastern District of Texas. Seen here, we got Texas, Alabama, Arkansas, Indiana, what's up, Iowa, Kansas, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, West Virginia, and Wyoming suing the big three, BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard. Massive multi-billion dollars of power and market control between the three of them. So here's the complaint against them. And we'll fast forward through the table of contents and just start at this intro where it says, courtesy of Texas plus these 10 states. For the past 4 years, America's coal producers have been responding not to the price signals of the free market, but to the commands of Larry Fink of BlackRock and his fellow asset managers. Now, as demand for the electricity that Americans need to heat their homes and power and their businesses has gone up, the supply of coal that is used to generate that electricity has been artificially depressed. If the supply goes down, the price will skyrocket. Now, they have reaped the rewards of higher returns, higher fees, and higher profits while we pay higher utility bills and higher costs. Over a century ago, Congress enacted Section 7 of the Clayton Act to prohibit any acquisition of a stock where the effect of the acquisition may be to substantially lessen the competition, right? You can't buy a bunch of stock to gain an advantage against your competition, is the law. Congress recognized that when an investor brings under one control the competing companies whose stock it has acquired, it has in fact incorporated a form of an old-fashioned trust. That is anti-competitive, and it's an abomination, and federal antitrust laws absolutely prohibit them. Not allowed to do that. Now, defendants are three of the largest institutional investors in the world: BlackRock, State Street, Vanguard. Each defendant has individually acquired substantial stock holdings in every significant publicly held coal producer in the United States. They own huge portions of the coal. And this is not just coal. They do this in many industries. Each has thereby acquired the power to influence the policies of these competing companies and bring about a substantial lessening of competition in the market for coal. And each has used its power to effect a substantial reduction in competition in the coal markets. Now, considered alone and in isolation, each defendant's acquisition and use of the shareholders' violated the law. But they have not just acted alone and in isolation, no. In fact, in 2021, they went further. In 2021, these companies publicly announced their commitment to use their shares of their companies to pressure the management of all the portfolio companies where they held assets to align with their net zero goals. Okay, so this is how they do it. Buy up a ton of voting power in the companies, push them to reduce the creation of coal, the production of coal, because they demand they reduce carbon emissions by over 50%. What does that do? Well, it's going to, if the supply goes down, then the price of the coal that they are producing goes up. Rather than individually wield their shareholdings to reduce coal output, therefore, they collectively formed a syndicate and agreed to use their collective holdings of publicly traded coal companies to create industry-wide output reductions. Less supply, more demand, higher prices. To be sure, earlier this year, BlackRock and State Street publicly proclaimed that they withdrew from one of the organizations that they previously used to coordinate their anti-competitive conduct, which is called Climate Action 100+. But formal withdrawal from that one organization does not change the reality that their holdings threaten to substantially reduce competition in violation of the law, nor does it negate the ongoing and future threat of their coordinated anti-competitive conduct or absolve them of their past violations. Now, below is a table that shows how their collective ownership stake exists. BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street own huge portions of the coal produced in the United States. Peabody Energy, they own almost a third. Arch Resources, almost a third. 10% of NACO. Nearly a third of Consol Energy. 29% of Alpha. Vistra's a quarter. Hallador, 8%. Warrior. And Black Hills, almost a third of the company of all of them. BlackRock owns. Says you all have to reduce your output because we're going to save the planet. Guess what? Price of coal goes up for all of them. Defendants have immense influence over these companies on their own, but collectively they now possess a power to coerce management that is all but irresistible. They've used that power, by proxy voting and otherwise, to pressure the major coal producers to reduce their output. And in particular, production of thermal coal that we use to power businesses and homes. The publicly traded coal producers have responded to their influence by reducing their output, even as coal prices have risen significantly. Now, at the same time, privately held coal producers, in which defendants have no ownership stake, have been unable to increase their production sufficiently to meet the demand and capture greater market share, right? So other competitors can't be popping in here. Some of these producers are smaller firms that lack the resources, the financial wherewithal, or the production capability to raise production, and still others are unable to obtain financing from banks and institutions, okay? Because they also control them. They say, we're not going to fund your coal industry. Hey, we need more money. We need a loan because we're going to increase coal production. Sorry, you can't do that. It's going to kill the planet. So they're directly restraining competition between the companies whose shares they have acquired, but their war on competition has consequences for the entire industry. Now, the companies, these big three, have leveraged their holdings and voting shares to facilitate an output reduction scheme, which has artificially constrained the supply of coal, significantly diminished competition in the markets, and increased prices for us. This is cartel-level profits for these three. Their acquisition and the use of the shareholdings violate antitrust laws and Section 7 of federal laws, and their output reduction syndicate yielded supra-competitive profits for themselves, violated Section 1 of the Sherman Act and state antitrust laws. Now, defendants have publicly defended their anti-competitive scheme with appeals of environmental stewardship, and the liberals love it. No, they're saving the planet. But acquiring shares of common stock, the effect of which may be substantially to lessen competition, is not saved because they deem it to be beneficial. The nation's antitrust laws are not to save the planet, all right? Defendants' belief that the concern for the climate gives them some sort of a license to suppress competition is mistaken. The antitrust laws aren't excused because you think you're saving Mother Earth. Full and open competition must dictate domestic coal production. Now, in addition to joining with two other major institutional asset managers to bring about a coal production reduction, BlackRock went even further, actively deceiving investors about the nature of its funds. Rather than inform investors that it would use their shareholdings to advance climate goals, BlackRock consistently and uniformly represented its non-ESG funds, which are the environmental, social, global funds, would be dedicated solely to enhancing shareholder value. But as detailed below, BlackRock routinely violated its pledge to investors using all its holdings to advance its climate goals, and more relevant here, its output reduction syndicate. The American consumer is entitled to enjoy the fruits of free markets, vigorous competition, and in the case of BlackRock, honest investment managers. Competitive markets, not the dictates of far-flung asset managers, should determine the price Americans pay for electricity. Here, the states, Texas plus the other 11, accordingly seek injunctive relief to put an end to BlackRock's illegal practices, to restore free and open competition to the coal markets. We want damages, we want restitution, and civil penalties. And so, a couple other highlights here. We know who the parties are. They say that these companies own everything. 46%. These 8 firms, almost half the domestic coal production, and they own a third of that. The defendants are 3 of the largest investors in global coal production in the world. Total investment from BlackRock, $108 billion. Vanguard, another $100 billion. State Street, $35 billion. They are huge. You can see these are the ownership shares that they have in most of these companies. When you add them all up, they own nearly a third of all of them. And so they've got a strong interest in making sure that their prices are maximum. They own 30.4% of Peabody, 34.9% of Arch, 10% of NACO. And you see the numbers, right? We don't need to go through all of them, but they're there. Vistra, Hallador, Warrior Met Coal. These are people who are in back offices, right, with their whiteboards, mapping out how much of this market can we control. Once we control a certain amount of them, we'll impose policies to reduce production across the board, which will increase the prices. They have a monopoly in practice. Now, the United States cannot source coal from abroad without incurring transportation costs. And it's important. It's a very important resource for us. Now, the specific characteristics also matter. Heat value refers to a coal's energy content, moisture content. Coal is classified into 4 categories. Subbituminous coal, by the way. Did you know this? You can talk about this tonight at Thanksgiving. Say, hey guys, did you know that subbituminous coal contains 35 to 45% carbon and has a lower heat value than bituminous coal? You might be asked to leave dinner, but it'd be a fun fact you can share. The relevant product markets are everywhere, all right? Huge, very important. 15 mines over here, low cost of production, low sulfur content, all important stuff. We need the coal, baby. And so they're going to give us a lot of details that we don't need to zoom in on. But long story short, my friends, as we fast forward all the way down here, you'll see they just keep going and going and going, explaining how they've come in and commandeered these markets. There's no rebutting the fact that they are creating a monopoly here and they're violating antitrust laws. You can see count 1 from Paxton and others says they're acquiring stock in violation of the Clayton Act. They have substantially lessened competition in the entire market, and they've done it intentionally. In 2021, they entered into unlawful agreements in restraint of trade in violation of commerce, and they used the shares to reduce the collective output of the coal. They did that through coercion and threatening removal of management, and this is a conspiracy that is unreasonably restraining trade for no legitimate justification other than to make them money and hurt us. In the spring of 21, they also engaged in another conspiracy to depress the output of all these coal companies. They engaged in a continuing agreement to share timely, competitive, sensitive information about their respective companies to meet specific output reduction targets. They identified those coal companies and they pressured them to reduce their output. They did it through their proxy voting, and the information was not aggregated nor anonymized. They were talking about specific competitors and they were reducing them across the board. So another count saying they violated state law and state antitrust claims as well. Montana coming in here. Texas coming in here. All the states are saying, West Virginia, you violated our anti-competitive laws. Deceptive trade practices will be adverse to the citizens of Texas. And so they're asking for relief from the court, saying they want a decree saying that those shares have been in violation of federal law. And then order injunctive relief as necessary, meaning maybe even divestiture, and to stop them from using the stock to give them the right to vote, to manipulate the markets, make them divest their stock, restrain them from doing what they're currently doing, grant equitable relief to restore the competitive conditions that exist, meaning the courts come in and just say, you're off that board, you're off there, those stocks are sold, you're all done. Decouple the whole thing. Should be just great. And order Blackrock to pay civil penalties of $10,000 per violation for every violation that we identify. Should be like 10 million. Award plaintiff, state, and others costs and any other relief that you deem appropriate. Signed by the great state of Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, David Thompson from Cooper and Kirk, and a bunch of other lawyers, along with other states supporting them. So a nice filing there from Ken Paxton and the great states versus Blackrock, State Street, and the Vanguard Corporation. And that was a very interesting lawsuit because we got to peek behind the curtain a little bit to see how they do these things. And what's so interesting is they've duped a large portion of the Democratic Party and huge swaths of the world and America into thinking that these people are out there in furtherance of the globe, in furtherance of our health. They want to stop carbon from polluting the planet. Yeah, right. It's about money and making as much of it as possible. And the people who are gobbling up their save the planet propaganda are just useful idiots that are being exploited. And led to their own demise. But fortunately, we got Ken Paxton, Texas, and other states who are raising a ruckus about this. We'll keep our eye on it and see where it goes. Thanks for subscribing and joining us as we do. All right, and one final update on this lovely Thanksgiving, my friends. And then we'll hear from you. We'll say our hellos. We'll see what you're up to. We'll see what's on the menu. What's on the menu, baby? It's going to be good. There's a lot of people walking outside right now, frolicking around. There's a family right now. I'm watching a family. They're all walking down. Looks like 3 young girls. The father in their red outfits. Great. The holiday's just beautiful. What a beautiful day. All right, so speaking of being out and about, one person who's not going to be out and about is Diddy. Here's the order. Diddy not going anywhere. This is his 4th attempt to get out of custody. And we thought there may have been a chance here because the judge was asking very interesting questions like, well, what kind of security cameras would be there? And would he have access to his cell phone? And who's going to be there with him? And tell me about the security company and all those questions. Turns out, Diddy staying locked up. 5-pager, this just dropped from the Southern District of New York, where Damian Williams, the prosecutor who's leading this case, is going to be resigning after Trump takes over. Trump has already nominated another person to replace him. But this is the status of the case, signed by Judge Arun Subramanian, the district judge. He says, all right, Diddy came back with a renewed motion for bail on November 8th. This was his 4th attempt. The court held a hearing, which we read through, courtesy of the X scripts on X and Inner City Press. And the parties filed supplemental letters. And for the following reasons, Diddy's motion is denied. Diddy. And he put up everything, like $50 million, like his house. He's like, you can have my kidneys, whatever. Just lock them up. Let me out. Judge said no. It's interesting because a lot of other people were let out. Like when Epstein was prosecuted the first time and they gave him that non-prosecution agreement. And then he was out for a while until they indicted him again. Now, Ghislaine Maxwell was not out, but in Diddy's bail motion, we saw other instances from the Southern District of New York where other people who had done arguably more heinous things than Diddy were let out. And Diddy was out for a long time, and then now he's in. Let's see what the judge says. He says, all right, here's why Diddy's staying in. No condition or combination of conditions will reasonably assure the safety of the community. The court has evaluated each of the factors: nature of the offense, weight of the evidence against Diddy, the history and the characteristics of Diddy, and the nature and seriousness of the release. And we've also reviewed a bunch of information that have been submitted, and a lot of this we have not seen. This is part of the problem with this case, is from what we see here, the evidence is pretty dang light, but a bunch of stuff is being filed under seal, which I don't appreciate, by the way. We need to know what the evidence is, unless Diddy wants it sealed, but in many cases he does not. He wants the public to see more of this because he says the government's witnesses and victims are crap. Now, the court finds that the government has shown by clear and convincing evidence that there is nothing we can possibly do to ensure that the community would be safe if Diddy were released. Now, you can be the judge of that, right? So just weigh it. Remember, Diddy has the presumption of innocence. There should be a presumption of release, right? When you have a presumption of innocence, you should be presumptively released unless there's strong proof to keep you in custody. So is he going to be a danger to the community in the court if he is released? Let's see. They say a rebuttable presumption of detention applies to this case because they charged him with a serious crime, which is the trafficking crime, which is why they charged him with that, okay? Because it inverts that presumption. Normally, the presumption, as you would argue, is we release you because you have a presumption of innocence. But when there's a certain crime that involves a trafficking, they say you're too dangerous and we have to keep you forever. Even if Combs rebuts this presumption, which the court assumes here, It remains one of the factors that the court considers in determining whether the government has met its burden of persuasion. Saying here, the indictment charges Combs with serious and violent crimes. It alleges here in RICO that for decades, right, that in the conspiracy, they bundled it up into a conspiracy so that they could say that the overt acts occurred over a long period of time. Combs abused, threatened, and coerced women and others to fulfill his desires, protect his reputation, conceal his conduct. To do so, he relied on employees, resources, multifaceted business empire, and others. It says Combs himself carried or brandished firearms to intimidate or threaten others, and that included AR-15s and deface serial numbers and all these things, which he was like never charged for. When Combs' authority and reputation was threatened, the indictment alleges he and members of his enterprise engaged in acts of violence, threats of financial harm, reputational harm, and other things. These acts of violence included kidnapping and arson. The indictment also charges Combs with trafficking in violation, there it is, requiring the court to consider the nature of the offenses, whether it's a crime of violence, whether there's controlled substances and other things. So they hit him with that, and then it makes release way harder. Now, the government has presented direct evidence of Combs' violence. Let's see. Oh, okay, it's video from 2016. Exactly, right? Yeah. There is clearly violence even in the version of the footage submitted by Combs and the text messages and victim one. So it's video from 2016. They couldn't charge him with that because it's too old, right? The statute of limitations has expired on that. So that's it. I have a black eye and a fat lip. You're sick for thinking it's okay to what you've done. I still have crazy bruising. Okay, I'm not condoning domestic violence at all in any way, shape, or form. But that's a domestic violence situation. That's an aggravated assault, felony aggravated assault for causing physical damage and bleeding and bruising or whatever. Or maybe just a misdemeanor assault. But it's domestic violence. It's not trafficking. It's not criminal enterprise. That's just violence that's almost 10 years old that they couldn't charge him with at the time, so they have to bundle this up into something. Okay, nevertheless, and there's something here, right? So I have somebody said something said something happened here. Nevertheless, Combs argues that the weight of evidence does not support a charge of trafficking. It's exactly right. That's trafficking? It's not. It's domestic violence. If you want to charge him with domestic violence, do that. That's fine. In his view, it supports at best a toxic, sometimes violent, long-term relationship between Combs and this woman. But regardless of whether that's true, there is compelling evidence of Combs' propensity for violence, requiring the court to consider the history. And so he's been charged with trafficking. So just so you see how it works, they charge him with trafficking in violation of this. And then this, because of that trafficking charge, they need to hit him with so before you release him, because it's trafficking, now you consider the nature and the history and the characteristics of the person. Does he have any prior felonies? These are allegations, right? History. So this is a stretch, man. And again, I'm not defending Diddy's conduct. I'm defending what they're charging him with as it's measured against the evidence. This is evidence of domestic violence, not evidence of trafficking in that evidence. Okay. So they're not going to release him on that basis. Got it. It's a 8-year-old crime. Got it. And yeah, he was violent in that video, just to be clear. He was violent. It was totally inappropriate, and he should have been charged with crimes on that. But does that indicia of trafficking at all? Let's see where else this goes. So, and you need the evidence of the trafficking in order to be able to then bring into the argument the violence. So it's circular, is my point. And it shouldn't be circular. There is evidence supporting a serious risk of witness tampering as well. For example, Combs initiated and had unexplained communications with witness one, who was subpoenaed to testify before the grand jury and did testify. Combs was represented by lawyers at that time, and they have offered an explanation for some of those communications, but they could not explain them all. For instance, Combs's effort to call and text the witness one, even after witness one's grand jury testimony, or Combs's deleted text with this witness, right? So those are curious. Now, although the phone records confirmed that the defendant, Diddy, using a particular phone number and witness one exchanged multiple text messages from June to August, there were no text messages recovered from the cell phone. So and you often see this, right? When you go to Verizon or whatever, they'll only have the record of the message being transmitted, but not the actual content of the message. So they said, oh, you got a bunch of messages from Saturday afternoon. Let me see your phone. What did you say on Saturday afternoon? Oh, those are deleted. Why'd you do that? Further, Combs's interaction with witness ones are directly in conflict with defense counsel's representations to Judge Carter that he did not reach out to a grand jury witness. He didn't do it and wouldn't do it. So they're like, lawyers, hello, you avowed for your client that Diddy wouldn't do it, and he did it. So that's like bad for the lawyers, right? They're like, oh, shoot. And it really stinks when you vouch for your client and then your client lets you down, because then you're like, well, you just helped me break my word to the judge. Thanks. So there is evidence that Combs violated the Bureau of Prisons regulations during his pretrial detention to obscure his comms. He paid other inmates to use their phone access code. And just to be clear on this, like, all of this is bad stuff, sure. But the argument is that this is all fruit of the poisonous tree. He shouldn't be in custody in the first place. He should have never been charged with sex trafficking in the first place. So now they're just coming up. So they said, well, we charged you with trafficking, which enabled us to go back and find something from 2016 that we couldn't charge independently by itself. Then we can use that to say you have a propensity and characteristic of violence. Then we can keep you in custody. Then when you do something bad in custody, like talk to somebody after you've been charged or violate some Bureau of Prisons rule, then we can use that against you to justify holding you in custody. It's just like, okay. So you're just totally at their mercy, even though they've created a sex trafficking charge based on very weak evidence. Says he paid other inmates to use their phone, use the messaging system. The government gives example of Combs utilizing these means as recently as November, directed to efforts to influence the jury pool. And that's a joke, okay? Or to reach out to potential witnesses. Combs should be allowed to post whatever he wants on social media as loudly as he wants. He could hire a whole friggin' PR team if he wanted to influence the public opinion of which the jury pool will be there. That is his free speech right. Directed efforts it's public relations. He can speak out about this. That's not a reason to keep him in custody. Influence the jury pool. It's very different than witness tampering. Every time you speak out, you could theoretically influence the jury pool. So what's the limiting principle there? There is none. The court makes no determination that the content of Combs's communications was improper. Okay, so even the things he said weren't illegal, but his willingness to just skirt the rules in a way that could make it more difficult for communications to be monitored is strong evidence that the court cannot be reassured that his communications will be properly monitored. Unbelievable. So what he was saying in skirting the rules wasn't even bad. Nothing was even improper. Maybe he just needed more minutes. So for that reason, we can't release him. He knew that the government had concerns about witness tampering, and he was still using other people's calling cards. Give me a break. Underscoring the court's concern, despite defense counsel's assurances that Combs stopped using that, the government indicates no, he did. And so the court further notes that it held an emergency hearing to address this. And there were legal pads that were recovered from Diddy's bunk during a sweep of the Metro Detention Center. At that hearing, defense counsel advised that all these legal pads say legal. Yes, they're marked as legal. But after the hearing, the court asked the question, why did you say that they were marked as legal when the photographs show they were not marked as legal? At the hearing, defense attorneys admitted that it has to be the case that as of the day of the search, legal wasn't in fact written on every legal pad. Well, why'd you say it was? I'm not sure, Your Honor. We thought that it did say legal on every pad, but it didn't. So the judge says, oh, well, okay. So your representations are also not valid, which is not good. So the circumstances of this incident and the misrepresentation made at the hearing where Combs was present bear on whether the court can be reasonably assured that any conditions will actually be followed. And since you guys keep promising stuff that's not true, we're not going to believe you. The court assumes that it may consider the bail package, which has been proposed. However, given the nature of the allegations in this case and the information provided by the government, the court doubts the sufficiency of any conditions that place trust in Combs and individuals that he employs. And pretrial services reached the same conclusion, noting that at the November 22nd hearing, there are no conditions that could reasonably assure the safety of the community. Now, finally, the facts and circumstances here differ from those in Combs' principal cited authorities. Other cases were close calls and they let other people out. But in that case, in the Fox case, they didn't talk about obstruction because he wasn't doing those things. And in this other one, this guy had no flight risk issue. Was he a flight risk? There was criminal conduct here. These weren't violent offenses. There aren't RICO allegations like the ones they're making here. So the charges are different. And that other dude wasn't a violent guy. So Combs is different. Okay. Now, therefore, the release condition will remain the same. Motions for temporary release also denied. Not temporary release, not permanent release. Given Combs' access to counsel and the documents and firm deadlines, Combs has not carried his burden here, saying that he needs to be released for trial preparation or any of those things. And so the motion of Diddy's to get out of custody is denied. The clerk of the court directed to terminate the docket 60, so ordered, signed by Judge Arun Subramanian. And I think this is the judge grasping for reasons to keep him in. I think if you could talk to the judge behind closed doors, he's probably looking at this case and saying, yeah, they just cobbled together some criminal statutes to make it very difficult for me to release him. But he's predicating this on a 2016 one incident of violence, on Combs using the jail phones for not even bad things. And saying, and the people, the victims here, so-called victim, may not even have been trafficked at all, okay? May have actually been somebody who was in a relationship with him, according to the defense. So the basis for keeping him custody is the trafficking charge, and the evidence to hold him in custody has nothing to do with trafficking at all. See how that works? So it's a weak decision. I think the law and the facts and the evidence in this case are weak. Now, that being said, I think that Combs is a flight risk. Truthfully, I think if he got out of custody, I think he'd probably go, right? The defense attorney's got an obligation to say, no, he's not going to go anywhere, and he's not, because that's what Sean Combs is saying, and to get him out of custody. But I mean, if you're a defense attorney representing Combs, he gets out of custody, it's like 50-50 he's coming back. You're like, oh gosh, man, I hope he comes back, because I told the judge he's coming back, but he might not come back. So you just don't know. So I think the judge is probably recognizing that, right? It's safer to have him in custody. But as a lover of the presumption of innocence, and as a person who demands that the prosecution actually bring substantial evidence and not just hold people on a whim, what we're seeing here is pretty dang weak. So Sean Combs remains in custody, not getting out anytime soon, probably not going to get out at all. Will remain in there until his trial, which will be coming up early next year. We'll be here covering it. Thanks for subscribing and joining us as we do. All right, my friends. It's a beautiful day. If you're just joining us on this lovely Thanksgiving, we talked about a couple things. We talked about Trump's presidential happy Thanksgiving to the radical left lunatics. We saw that Melania is going to be serving the kids' table this Thanksgiving season in Mar-a-Lago today. And we also know that the FBI goons are probably very jealous that we're having a happy, lovely Thanksgiving today. And so it's going to be a great day, my friends. We also talked about Mexico and Claudia Sheinbaum. We talked about the visit of Mark Zuckerberg down to Mar-a-Lago and how MSNBC is having a tough time. Then we saw this lawsuit from 11 states, including the great state of Texas, against BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard, the big three financial firms, and saw how they are manipulating the coal markets to increase their prices. And then lastly, we talked Diddy and how Diddy is not getting out. Diddy will not be home for Christmas. But now, my friends, it's a lovely Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving. I am very thankful for you, very thankful for being able to spend this part of the holiday with you here today. Thanks for joining us and stopping by to say hi. Shout out to your fam, to your friends, to your loved ones. Shout out to the moms and the dads who are cooking out there. Shout out to my mama who's cooking for us. Love you, mama. Can't wait to eat all the food. See you soon. And we're excited about that. But my friends, let's say hello to you. Who is here? Who's joining us? What's on the menu? What do you guys think about all this on this beautiful Thanksgiving day? We've got some comments and some donos. Hey, John McGarvey posted this. Here's a good one. Gobble, tell ya wobble. Happy Thanksgiving, courtesy of John. Gobble, tell ya wobble. Indeed, indeed. Thank you, John. Happy Thanksgiving, brother. Hey, Bruce Wayne is here. Happy Thanksgiving, Bruce Wayne. Very nice to see you, Bruce. Happy Thanksgiving to you, my friend. Voice of the People says, Happy Turkey Day as well. Enjoy the holiday. Happy Turkey Day back to you, Voice of the People. And it is a beautiful turkey Thanksgiving. We love it. Knox is here. Happy Thanksgiving all from Knox. Happy Thanksgiving, Knox. Great to have you. My friends, what a beautiful day. Voice of the People. Thank you, Voice. Look at this. 10 membos coming in. Voice of the People. Happy Thanksgiving all around. Look at this. Voice is bringing in Mario Quinones. What's up? H-Town Racing. Lil Mom's Vessel here. We got Six Rollin. Lauren M. We got Kelly R. Rich Algani. Just Rondo welcoming everyone. Richard House, Robert Brum, and Eric Cush brought in as membos, courtesy of Voice of the People. Great to see you, Voice. And I think I saw Voice might be doing a stream over there at Off Label Podcast, depending on how things go with the in-laws, is what I saw from Voice in the chat. You know, in-laws, they can take a lot out of you, no doubt. Good to see you, Voice. Ollie, what's up, Ollie? Says, hey, bringing in Honey Bean. Honey Bean in the house, courtesy of Ollie. Welcome aboard, Honey Bean. Glad to have you. We've got this one from Glocky. Says, did you see Derek Chauvin's interview? And did you know the guy who stabbed him 22 times was an FBI informant? The guy's no longer in federal prison custody. No, I did not see this. But that's incredible. You're kidding me. So Derek Chauvin, man, we covered that trial. That is a travesty of justice. I did not know he did an interview. Be interesting to see what that says. Hey, what's up, Glocky? Says, I'm really getting into the Thanksgiving spirit. I have given the bird to 4 people today already. But good to see you, Glocky. Here's one. You saw this one? Elon and Alex Jones are going to be serving Thanksgiving dinner at the adult table. It's going to be a freshly cooked MSNBC. Here you go, kids. Yeah, that's a good one. What part of the bird does everybody want? Don't answer that question. All right, a lot of ways that could go. Hey, here's one. You guys remember Lieutenant Dan? Would you like a leg, Lieutenant Dan? That's not nice. Okay, that's not nice. Lieutenant Dan was a good dude. He was a troubled man, but he should be, man. He sacrificed a lot for our country. Hey, the Silverback. What's up? The Silverback is here. Great to see you, the Silverback. Nice to have you, the Silverback, in the house. ELZ says, God bless Trump and the MAGA correction direction. The gift that keeps on winning. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to you, ELZ. It is. A lot to be thankful for, no doubt. Ataraxia. What's up, Ataraxia? Says BlackRock, etc. own everything. Using our money, they control 401ks, pension plans, profit off control of those assets, they should be indicted on RICO. Yeah, maybe they will, Ataraxia. We've got a lot of possibilities here in the future. What's up, Shiloh? Says, thank you for keeping me company while I'm cooking this morning, Rob. I appreciate you. Shiloh, thank you for donating over to us, and thanks for having us on while you're cooking. It's an honor to be cooking with you this morning on a beautiful Thanksgiving. It's a fun day. We got Don McGroarty says, happy Thanksgiving, Robin Mods and fam. Many blessings back to you, Don. 10 months as a member. That's a full baby plus one. Thank you, Don. Happy Thanksgiving to you. Hopefully you're enjoying it. Golden Gaming says, happy Thanksgiving, watchers. And there's 2 Trump hugging the flag memes, gifts, courtesy of Just Rhonda, who's our memeologist, our gifologist, our emojologist, I think. What's up, Just Rhonda? Golden Gaming, thanks for being here for 19 months, my man. Really appreciate you. We got Iconic Meerkat says, would RICO not apply here? Yeah, I mean, I think they could make that argument if they wanted to charge somebody criminally for that. Right now, this is like a civil antitrust investigation. But yeah, maybe it could evolve into a RICO where there's a bunch of people, kind of like maybe like an Enron type of situation, evolving into that. Hey, what's up? Anthony F. 10 membos coming in. Thank you, Anthony. Look who's here. Bringing in KM, Norm Grodecki, Sweet Blondie, Rock Lobster. Jack is here. Hectic Days, Mike Cabral, Chris C., Dennis Scott, and Debbie White. Gifted membos courtesy of Anthony F., Soldier of Providence. Thank you, Anthony F. Thankful for the new membos. Welcome aboard, new friends. Very nice to have you. We got this one from Western Body. Says, happy Turkey Day. Happy Turkey Day to you, Western Body. Thanks for being here, my friend. Hopefully you're eating lots. John McGarvey is clipping that one for us from Anthony F. We got Knox Bierman is sharing this one. It says, set Reiner Fulmich free. This is a link from an open a Substack from James Roguski says, set Reiner Fulmich free. Reiner Fulmich free. And that is this person right here. And I'm not familiar with this case, but thanks for flagging it for us, Knox. You know what's happening out there, and you always have some good stuff, so thank you for it. Hey, Neuro D says, hey, thanks, everybody. Smash that thumbs up, peeps. If you have a minute, we'd appreciate it. Thanks for hitting that button. We got this one. Rob, after our recent stream, that seemed hopeful for Diddy. I responded to you through the screen. Rob, they won't let him out because they haven't tried to murder him yet, at least successfully. Bond denied. Success on that count is right around the corner. Yeah. Yeah. You think that's where this is going? Oh my gosh. Could you imagine? I mean, God forbid, I hope that does not happen, but they take Diddy out too, just like Epstein. Diddy gets taken out too. It's like, come on. That's a little too close. A little too close. Jester Bob says, hey, good morning, watchers. I'm extremely thankful for Rob and the Watcher family. Me too, Jester Bob. For you, not for me. This has been an enlightening journey. I personally have found the confidence to educate others whenever I hear misinformation. I can see through their daily BS and spreading the truth. Mods and meme smiths, thank you for being Rob's support. He could not be as efficient without you all. 100% true. And thanks for noticing that, Jester Bob. Watchers, we are absolutely the best community. Happy Thanksgiving to all. Jester Bob, thank you for that, man. And thanks for being a part of it, right? For being part of the foundation of what we're doing and building here. Couldn't do it without you. And we all contribute to the, to the community culture, to the vibe that's happening here. So I could not do it without you at all. So Jester, thank you for that. Thanks for being on Locals, brother. We appreciate it. Happy Thanksgiving. I'm grateful for you and everybody. I was blessed. Hey, Swamp Saga City says, I'm grateful for all your hard, diligent work reviewing and explaining source documents so we can all know the truth and form our own opinions. Happy Thanksgiving, Robert. Happy Thanksgiving, Swamp Saga City. What a nice comment. It's absolutely my pleasure. Thanks for being here and supporting us. Thanks for holding me accountable, for enlightening me, for supporting the efforts. We could not do it without you. We're having a ton of fun. I feel like we're just getting started here. We're increasing our skill sets. There's a bunch of stuff that we're working on right now that I cannot wait. I know I've been saying that for a while, but it's true this time. The election is over. It's like, oh, we can breathe again. Oh my gosh. So we're looking forward to it. Swamp Sega City. Thank you for that, my man. Thanks for the nice dono. Happy Thanksgiving to you. I'm grateful for you back. And my friends, such nice donos. Thank you for sending those in. And for joining us on this Thanksgiving. Let's say hello to a couple friends on X. Then we'll head on over to Locals for our after party. We'll hang out there a little bit. And then it's off to Mama G's. We're going to have some nice Thanksgiving dinner tonight. Hey, American Boomer is over here. What's up, American Boomer? Here's a nice one from American Boomer on X. I like it. Says, God bless, happy Thanksgiving. God bless America. Man, I like it. It's good stuff in there. The Eagle, Cross, Statue of Liberty, dog tags. God bless America, baby. It's a good one. A lot of America in that image. Hey, WECU pod says best podcast in the U.S. I like to think so. Says Zuckerberg hired foreign countries to fact check American politics. Yeah, he did, right? His oversight board or whatever that was. Hey, Jesse Oppenheimer says, I'm watching live on XTV. Whoa, look at that, baby. It's like Inception. We're watching Jesse Oppenheimer watch the show. Amazing. Thank you for watching, Jesse. That's on XTV. That's cool. Yeah, they're rolling out some more features. Looks like a very nice house. Look at that nice little glass fire pit there. That's cool. That's pretty cool. I like those. They're pretty neat, you know. Nice, beautiful flames back there. Very easy with the flip of a switch. Amazing. Thank you for those comments over on X, my friends. Really nice to have you over there. And, of course, to have you join us today, wherever it is you're tuning in from. It has been a treat and a pleasure. But now, my friends, we're going to go over to watchingthewatchers.locals.com. Georgia Peaches just says, got here super late. Anyway, did Hunter Biden get sentenced? Can he be pardoned? He has not been sentenced to my knowledge yet, but yes, he can be pardoned, and I'm guessing he will be pardoned. By the way, it will be 5 years in March of hanging with you. Unreal. Georgia, that is unreal. That's like from the very beginning. That's so great. Thank you, Georgia Peaches, for being here for 5 years. Oh my gosh, that's when we started. March 2020. First idea, watching the Watchers after they locked us down. I'm like, I'm going to lose my friggin' mind here with these lockdowns. That's how I was born, baby. And it's been a very, very thankful 4 years. So grateful for all the ups and downs. Coming up on 5 in March 2025. This is a COVID. We were birthed from COVID, man. Sweet Potato says, happy Thanksgiving. A lot to be thankful for this year. Just, here, let me pull this up. Just, I'll pull it up here so we can read it together. Good to see you, Sweet Potato in the house. And this is one thing to be very thankful for. Says, happy Thanksgiving. A lot to be thankful for this year for sure. Just, democracy being saved and all. Just, that little thing called Western democracy and liberty and freedom. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, a bunch of COVID babies here, right? We're all COVID babies. We're like, enough of this. We have to wake up and do something to save our country, and we're here. Okay, so my friends, we're going to head on over to Locals. We're going to do a little bit of an after party debrief, say what's up, hang out for a bit. We'd love to have you come join us, but we will leave it there on the day. We're planning on doing a stream tomorrow. We'll probably just do one light stream. We'll see what the news has in store for us. I would imagine around the same time. We'll get started about the same time tomorrow. So that'll be the plan. And my friends, until then, I want to say thank you to our amazing mods and meme smiths, K Bean, John McGarvey, Donut, Carrie B, Playing Hooky, Mod in the Fort Down, Just Cause in the house today. Great to see you. All of our amazing membos, and of course, all of our friends out there, wherever it is you're tuning in from. Incredibly grateful. Thanks for inviting us into your home, into your Thanksgiving day for just a little bit so we could say hello, celebrate with you, and then pause as we celebrate with our fams and enjoy a ton of food and indulge. And then we'll come back tomorrow to get into it again. And so until then, my friends, once again, thanks for being here. We will be back here tomorrow after Thanksgiving, filled with thankfulness and love and we'll come back, and we're going to need to see you right back here so that together, with your help, we can shine that big, beautiful spotlight of accountability and transparency down upon our system with the hope of finding justice. Make it a beautiful Thanksgiving, my friends, and an amazing night. I'll see you right back here tomorrow. Bye-bye.